Scrappy people, Traci Reed here today, coming at you with a Page in My Life crafted album, and I am reaching back, way back into time to the MVP, no, All-Star Baseball collection that I designed for Paper House Productions way back when, almost, oh my gosh, probably like 2015, somewhere around there. But I have these baseball pictures, and if you know me at all, this is not a set of pictures that I normally have. But my best friend's new girlfriend invited us to a baseball game in Atlanta, and she really loves the Atlanta Braves. And my bestie really loves the Chicago Cubs, so I was like, well, let's find a Cubs Braves game and go to that. And it happened to not even be a month away. So here I am stuck to my commitment of going to a baseball game in Atlanta, which is 3.5 hours from us. So we had to stay overnight on a Thursday night. And I'm not going to lie, we had a ton of fun. I still do not care at all about sportsing or sports ball or any of that. But this was a great excuse to use sportsing papers. So I cut down the original paper so that I had the baseball stitches in either corner. And then I cut down these mats to be diamonds because I was sort of like going for that whole baseball diamond sort of effect. And so I have both of these matted, and you can see that the blue and white striped one, it really blends in with the background because the white stripe is about the same color as the stripe on, or as the background on the paper itself. So it's kind of throwing me off a little bit, but I don't want both of them to be red. Like, I really liked the idea of having the blue and white stripe and the red stripe, and the red star. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to back the photo with the red star paper, and then put it back down on the blue and white, and that helps make it pop a little bit without bringing in too much red. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the other paper, but with the opposite pattern, and that will help tie the two pages together. I'm always looking for symmetry and mixing and matching on my scrapbook pages, so I like to do similar things on both sides of the page, especially I found when I'm working in my Life Crafted album, because obviously it's one whole page, but it's split into two with the binder rings in between, so it always feels like you're doing two mini pages. So I like to bring both pages together by making them sort of symmetrical or asymmetrical on purpose. Now, I wanted to use this Let's Go real bad, but I just could not make it work with the layout of this page. It was gonna say Let's Go Sportsing or Let's Go Team or something like that, but it didn't work, and it made me sad. But I decided pretty quickly to go with this idea for the title instead, and I'm gonna put down all these letters so it says Go Sportsball. And then I'm going to turn it into a banner. So I decide to cut the words in between Go and Sportsball, and then I'm going to turn it into sort of like a two-layered banner across my page, so it spans the gap between the two pages and brings them both together that way too. So I'm just notching my banner here, and then this one's going to go over here, and I need a piece of paper to link the two together. So initially I was like, well, let's use this red paper, but then I was like, no, that's going to be too much. So I'm going to go with the white in between the blue stripe here. It's just going to show a little bit, but it'll be enough to just like link them visually together. So I'm just putting it at an angle here so that it hangs down diagonally underneath, trimming it off. Then I'm going to align the edge of the other banner right along where it hits the top edge, and then trim off the rest of that. So now I have a banner, and it looks, if it wasn't spanning both pages, it would definitely look sort of funky and oddly sized, but since it's going to go right across the middle, it works out really well. So I don't want to cut any of my alphas in half. So I pull them off and I separate them, and I'm going to end up rearranging the letters a little bit again down the line. But first, I'm going to live dangerously and ink the edges of my page and the edges of my photo mats. Then I'm going to start decorating. So you can see all that inking that happened. I'm going to start decorating with some of the stickers from the sticker sheet. I'm trying not to bring in anything extra. That's why I'm going so heavy on a fun design, because I only had one sheet of stickers and most of them were ones that I was not going to use. So I went real hard on making a really neat design to offset the fact that it's not going to be super embellished. So I really liked the idea of adding in this pennant banner underneath my word banner. So that's what I'm adding here. I think it adds a little something something. But I'm really kind of struggling here too, because the problem that I was having was that a lot of the designs for Paper House are uber realistic. So like actual photos of baseballs, and I liked this stitched heart baseball that I had drawn, so it wasn't a realistic baseball, or not a realistic baseball texture. And so when I start adding in these hyper realistic embellishments with the non-realistic embellishments, it's not a look that I normally go for, and it wasn't really making me super happy. I had put down all of these stars because it was basically the only embellishment that I had to scatter, but I'm not loving them. I'm going to add in a couple of like these word bits just as decoration to sort of break it up a little, just add to the clusters. I'm going to add another baseball bat because I did like the way that the baseball bats looked. And again, I'm always going for symmetry, so what I do to one side, I like to do to the other side. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put that yet, so I'm sticking it down to not the photo. So here I'm trying to work in a realistic baseball, and I just don't love the way that it looks, especially with that heart. And I know I was keeping the heart, obviously. So in the end, when I decide I don't like it, it's the baseball that ends up having to go. So I need to reevaluate and figure something else out. There is a circular label that has "at the ballpark" on the bottom, so I'm just going to cut the circle off and use the banner that says "at the ballpark," and that's going to anchor that photo cluster a little bit better and start bringing this page together. Maybe. There it is. Trimming all that off, making sure it doesn't look like it came off of something else. So I'm going to add this right under here, and then I want the ticket to move down so that it meets that "at the ballpark," and there's no gap in between. And now I can add that baseball bat back in. And now it's looking a little bit better, a little bit more of a cohesive cluster that mirrors the one on the right-hand side. Okay, so I decided to pull in some other color cast acrylic. I had these red stars left over, and the red is a bit brighter, a little bit more orangey than the red that I'm using, but I didn't mind it. It looked fine to me. It added a little bit of variety to the page. So I decided though that I didn't love those stars after I do this. So those realistic stars, not the acrylic ones, are going to come off. Decided though, when in doubt, add stitching. So I'm adding little stitching holes along the baseball stitching, and I'm going to use this blue and white baker's twine to add stitching to the page, which actually ends up being a lot more subtle than I thought it would be, but it comes out really great, and it adds some great texture to the page so that I can add a little bit more pop to it. Here it is. Add a little bit more pop to it without adding more embellishment, like more stickers to it. So I'm just kind of going for the subtle texture, the subtle inking. I did actually texture my photo mats a lot too. Just adding, just going for the subtleness of that to keep the sort of vintage vibe going with this collection. You can see I've rearranged those letters too. So the last thing I'm going to do is stick down these stars, and I'm going to move it over here. And then I'm going to add in my journaling in the arcs on either side of the baseball, and I'm going to call it good. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. And I will see you next time. Thank you.